How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the Bochum Career Mode. This is episode number 31, and we're kicking off today's episode with a game against Bayern Munich. Obviously, going to be a difficult game. You can see they've got a lot of new players in there, and a lot of players that are very high rated compared to our team at least. And it's not exactly the ideal start. We've had Hertha Berlin, where we lost 3-1. We've got Bayern Munich, and we've also got Borussia Mönchengladbach. 3 games that are pretty difficult in real life, and in the game, they are also proving to be quite a difficult game. Heading into this game, I wasn't expecting anything really, to be honest. Bayern Munich away from home. We started off how I actually predicted. We start off by going 1-0 down with the first attack. The main man there, number 7, Ardero, player that doesn't actually exist. I believe his real life name is something, I don't know, he's Uruguayan attacking midfielder. I looked up, tried to find what his actual name was, couldn't actually see it. I just believe EA don't have the licensing to put his name in the game, and he was just a player that was, as a free agent, moved over to Bayern. So he goes there and scores in the first attack that Bayern had. And the second attack Bayern had, Serge Gnabry was played through there, and unluckily for us, he was not flagged for offside. I did have a quick look after this to check if he was. It wasn't the case. He was just onside, perfectly in the right position, and Serge Gnabry goes ahead and scored his second goal in the Bundesliga. He was a player to note going into this game. Gnabry was having a very good start to this the start of the season, basically. He almost scored again there in the 34th minute. Robin Lewandowski, a player we were looking to just try and shut out and make sure he had no chances from outside the box, showing that it doesn't matter if he has even an inch of space, he will get a chance. We get one final chance there as Gonvula headed the ball into the gloves of Neuer. Sadly, we're going at half-time. Pretty much the worst team and looking pretty poor. If I'm being honest, we started the second half. We couldn't even get the ball off Bayern. You can see there just the passing they had. It was absolutely fantastic. Naby Keita, former Liverpool man, eventually puts the ball through into Ardero, and he goes ahead and gets his second goal of the game in the 60th minute and pretty much kills us off. Sadly, the Allianz Arena isn't in the game as Bayern, I believe they've got a deal with PES at the moment, which means that the Allianz Arena is not licensed in FIFA, which is a shame because it's just a nice stadium to go to. It's another stadium that exists in the game. It's a nice one, I suppose. So that's a shame, and Bayern were just playing fantastically here. We had a couple of chances towards the end. Promel there had a chance to maybe bring it back to 3-1, make it a bit more respectable, and actually from the resulting corner, Leitch goes close with a nice shot there, nicely saved by the keeper. And in the dynamics of the game, Gonvula's played through. I sound a bit deflated about this, but just because I am. Gonvula's played through here and eventually puts through Musa Kone, and he does put it in the back of the net. Sadly for Kone, he was deemed offside. Now, on the replay, it looked like he was offside. I definitely agree with that. But however, when I went and looked back at the instant replay, I zoomed it back and put it to when Gonvula exactly played the ball through to Musa Kone, and to me, he was directly onside. He was on the line. I think that was a little bit unfair that was ruled offside. Sadly for us it was. The referee clearly thought it was, and no VAR in this game to show that it was the wrong decision. And just before the game ended, literally the last kick of the game, we would get a penalty as Luca Hernandez goes ahead and takes out, I believe it was Musa Kone on that left-hand side. Sort of drawing the foul there. You can see Kone was clearly looking for it, but it was a foul. He was taken out, and that was a foul. And it was Gonvula that would step up to take it. I decided to try and put it top bins, and I actually timed it almost perfectly. Green timed it, put it in the top corner, and I think I actually skipped the replays as well. There's no point in me showing you it really, as it was a good penalty, but it wasn't meaning much, and it just meant that Gonvula does get his first goal of the Bundesliga season. At least he gets kicked off. But sadly for us, just a really bad game in general. Second half was a little bit better from us, as Bayern were limited to only one chance, or one or two chances really, as their goal was the only real chance they had in that second half. You can see we actually switched to a 5 at the back in that game as well. I wanted to go a lot more defensive, try and sort of stop Bayern from creating anything. Sadly, we still conceded 3 goals, and towards the end I did go for the 3 at the back. And we did create more chances, I suppose, so maybe there is a shout there for going 3 at the back. We do have the defensive options to play there this season. We've got some decent defenders, so it's possibly an option. We'll just have to see what happens. I think I'll stick with a 4-3-3 for now, depending on how more recent performances go, as I've played a little bit ahead, I'll decide if I want to change it up a little bit or not. Going into a bit of transfer business, a rare transfer for us as we go and try and take away Ejara, I believe, from Liverpool. The young Englishman looks pretty decent, 76 overall, 23 years old. Pretty reasonable transfer, I think. I can't imagine he's getting too many minutes at Liverpool currently, and there's a lot of English players coming over to the Bundesliga in real life and also in the game as well, but I think it's a sort of realistic transfer as Ejara probably wants a bit more game time. He looks like a really decent midfielder, and as you can see there, he did sign a contract with us. He's, I believe, one of our highest paid players at the club, but he looks pretty good, and I just wanted to sign him. I did have a choice of him between him and Vasilidis from Paderborn. I just decided to go with somebody a little bit different. Vasilidis maybe still could be signed in the January window if we're still looking for somebody else to help us out in midfield. But at the moment, I think Ajaria looks pretty good, and we did get him to start in this game wearing the number 15 shirt. I didn't really choose that number, from being honest, but it's actually an okay one. If people want me to change numbers, anything like that, do feel free to say, as I don't really care too much about the numbers. I like to keep the players' numbers as the ones that they started the game off with. I might change Gonvula to number 9, as he is pretty much on number 9. He's our main striker, so wearing 35 is a little bit unusual. Heading into this game, though, going into Mönchengladbach, we were at home, going back to the Ruhrstadion, and the home fans would have an interesting game on their hands. They're not a local derby, but just a bit of a derby match in general, I believe, as Mönchengladbach are relatively close to us, and we started off the game pretty well, getting a chance early on, and Mönchengladbach having a chance straight after, pretty much. It was a very end-to-end game, this one, and we were a little bit more competitive, definitely having some okay chances to start the game off. Sabitzer was proving pretty difficult to deal with. You can see here this shot. I didn't even realise that Thomas Kraft made the save until I looked at the replay, and he actually made a fantastic save across to his left there, across to his right, sorry. And again, as I said, end-to-end football. Shipnowski puts the ball into Thomas Eisfeld, and he gets his first goal of the Bundesliga season as our captain makes it 1-0 against Mönchengladbach. This was a difficult game coming into it. They have a very decent team. Sadly, the camera angle is a bit sort of skewed by the flag in the way there, but Thomas Eisfeld nets it and puts it in the back of the net. As I said, it's a difficult game coming into this. They have a really decent team. Lots of high-rated players, and actually we were playing a little bit better. Did say it was end-to-end. They had the better of the possession, but in terms of the shots on target and actually probably the clear-cut chances, I think we were doing a little bit better than the away side. Sadly for us, though, they would start off the second half a little bit better as Sabitzer would break free. Thomas Kraft would get a hand to the shot from the Austrian attacking mid, but it would go in the back of the net as it was just hit with a little bit too much power, and he goes ahead and nets his first goal for the season, and the number 24 ensures that Mönchengladbach would be spared some embarrassment. And actually in the 83rd minute they would attempt to take the winning all 3 points away from us, and luckily for us, Thomas Kraft would have some heroics to stop them from scoring there. Gonvula gets through. He is pretty much dead at this point, but gets through the defence of Mönchengladbach. He tries to play it across, and sadly the defender was just in the way there. I think I made the wrong choice there. I should have just trusted Gonvula and taken the shot. And sadly for us, he just couldn't get the ball across, and a bit of bad decision making from myself. Although I am quite happy with the point against Borussia Mönchengladbach. I think we could have maybe got all the 3 points there. It's a shame we are still looking for our first win this season, but I'm not going to be too disappointed. A game against Bayern, a game against Mönchengladbach, and a game against Hertha Berlin. If I'm being honest, I was probably looking for at most 3 points, and maybe more expecting no points at all. So a point from 3 games, it's not great form, but it's probably the form I was expecting, and if I'm being honest, I'll take it. Whatever if we can just manage to get a few points early on in the season, in the first 10 games, if we can just get 10 points on the board, 15 points, I think that'll be quite crucial. That's only 5 wins. Oh, okay, only 5 wins. 10 points, 3 wins from 10 games. I think that'd be quite good, and that's what I'm sort of aiming for. There are a few teams below us that are definitely playing much worse than us, so we are being spared from being bottom of the table at the moment. You can see just a bit of transfer business. Bela Kotchap will be loaned out to RB Salzburg, as I just think his game time will be limited this season, and I'd just like him to get some more minutes on the pitch, really. He's obviously having to compete with Jansk, Arslanjic, Leitch, And also FIXTURE, the young player from the academy, who is a lot lower rated than him, but is a player that I'm willing to give some game time to. There's also a couple of players that could probably play in centre-back as well. I'm definitely tempted to try Rumling out in centre-back, as he's 6'1", and he's got the stats to make a decent centre-back, decent pace as well. So maybe look to try him out. So that's why I loaned him out in the end. If a team comes in for a young player, generally I'll accept the loan offer. And we'll see how he does. Obviously, I can always have the option of calling him back. That's not going to be a worry. You can also see on transfer deadline day, lots and lots of business happening throughout this transfer window. Hundreds and hundreds of millions spent just in the Bundesliga alone this window. I think Wolfsburg spent 140 million. Bayern spent over 100 million. Borussia Dortmund spent over 100 million. So lots of money being thrown out this season, and it will be interesting to see how the teams fare. As if I'm being honest, sometimes even though they spend a lot of money, they don't do as well as you expect. You can see an offer came in for Rhyme. We'll go ahead and accept that, as he's only got 1 year left on his deal and he won't be getting that renewed. And it looks like the veteran will probably be leaving the club at the end of the window. Also, you can see all the transfer business that went through in this window. A few loan deals, not as many as I was hoping. A few players are leaving the club on transfer permanently to clubs, and just 2 main transfers in Munoz and also Ejaria. So not the greatest amount of business. We do still have a little bit to deal with in maybe January if we want to sign another player. We still have about 10, 12 million possibly to spend. So there's always that. If we're doing really poorly, we do have a little bit of a backup option. You can see all the actual business. Lots and lots of money being thrown about. 80 million, 70 million, lots of those sorts of bids going through. But that will be the end of today's episode. Do hope you enjoyed watching. Sorry it's a little bit of a shorter episode than the other ones, but this is sort of the episode length I'd like to try and keep it to. But as I said, I do hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.